Yanmian, or Hakka Noodles, are a mixed noodle dish that feature one of the world's great combinations of flavors. A combination that's so embarrassingly simple that you might end up wondering why your cuisine didn't think of it first. These are just noodles, but dressed with a mix of 1. Crispy deep-fried garlic, 2. Seasoned fish sauce, and 3. A healthy quantity of lard. It's rich, delicious, and pretty easy to boot, classically served together with a nice pork soup on the side. But if you clicked on this video expecting something a little different coming from a dish labeled Hakka Noodles, there is a pretty good reason why that is. You see, the Hakka people are a Han Chinese subgroup that are among the world's most influential diasporas. Their origins are hotly debated in academic circles, but they're thought to have migrated from at least somewhere in the north of China over the centuries down into the southern coast, where they now make up a majority in the mountainous bits of southern Fujian and eastern Guangdong. This history of migration is deeply imprinted in Hakka culture. In these regions, it's not too uncommon to find houses that'll even explicitly label where said family supposedly originated from centuries and centuries back. But those Hakka migrations didn't stop at the Chinese borders. They went everywhere, from peninsular Malaysia to Borneo to the Riau Islands in Indonesia, to Thailand, to Myanmar, to Cambodia, to India, to Mauritius, to even Jamaica and Trinidad. And wherever you see Hakka communities, you can also usually find some sort of Hakka noodles with varying degrees of localization. From mie kolo to Yanmian to bakmi bangka to gui diao ka to probably sijet kaosui to maybe gui diu Phnom Penh to Indian Hakka noodles to Mauritian mien tu ni to whatever's happening here. These are a worldwide phenomenon, and they can all, more or less, trace back to here. This is Meizhou. It's a charming little city that's a couple-hour drive from the port of Shantou, and it's one of the beating hearts of Hakka culture in mainland China. The food here is just fantastic. From their buns to their stuffed tofus, the ingredient quality is something else. It's just a great place to eat. And throughout that region, there's a number of variations on this Yanmian theme. The Dapu style is topped with minced pork. The Jiaoling style is dyed pink from the addition of Hongzhou rice wine lees. But you'll usually find something a bit like this. A small noodle vendor tucked in a small shop or alley, mixing up a quick bowl of noodles together with a nutritious soup on the side for people to start their day. It's one of those simple good things. And as its international ubiquity proves, it's also something that can travel pretty easily to wherever in the world your kitchen happens to be. So, to make Meizhou-style Hakka noodles, we'll first want to whip up those 3 fundamental components. And what we'll be doing is making a big batch of each and storing them, so that we can easily whip up a bit of noodle whenever we want it in the weeks to come. Of the 3, probably the most annoying to sort is that deep-fried garlic. In a lot of Asian supermarkets, though, you can actually just buy the stuff, so definitely just purchase it if you've got the option. But just in case you can't, though, let's cover how you could also whip some up at home. So, starting from 12 cloves of garlic, we'll give those a mince, and for this, the finer the better. Then, just toss those into a small nonstick saucepan with about an inch worth of cool oil. Swap your flame to medium, then slowly fry that garlic. The goal here is to get this garlic to expel its moisture but not burn, which does take a little bit of nursing. You want to keep things bubbling at roughly this sort of level, so if things are going a little too fast, swap your flame down to medium-low or even low. But for us, after about 30 minutes of frying, we are looking at this, something dry, hard, and starting golden. So at this point we can strain and move those over to some paper towels. When they're dry, they're good to use. But definitely don't toss that garlic cooking oil. While we won't be using it for this dish, it's an awesome ingredient in and of itself, and we'll have a couple usage ideas for you at the end of the video. Then, the second component, the seasoned fish sauce. Now, I know that fish sauce isn't the first ingredient you might think of when you think Chinese food, but it is something common enough in that specific corner of the country. We'll be mellowing it out, though, at first by frying it. So to a hot wok, toss in 2 tablespoons of lard, give it a swirl, and over a medium-high flame, toss in 3 tablespoons of fish sauce together with another 3 tablespoons of water. Season it all with 3/4 teaspoon each salt and sugar, and let it all bubble together for about 90 seconds. Finish with a half teaspoon MSG, another quick mix, and out. Then, final component, the lard. Now, I asked the community tab a while back if you guys had lard available to you. And while the overwhelming majority did, I'd strongly recommend the remaining 21% of you to figure out some kind of lard sourcing solution. I mean, melted lard is just a fantastic cooking oil. No worse for you than butter, by the way. Lard fried rice is incredible, ditto with lard fried vegetable. It's awesome here. And because of its flavor neutrality, it's super versatile to bounce between cuisines with. If you're new to lard rendering, you can also check out our video on the topic, but a quality store-bought is also great as well. So, assuming that you're sorted on that front, now let's mix up some noodles. Now, in Meizhou, what's usually used for this dish are fresh alkaline noodles. If you wanted, you can make these from scratch, and I'll list up how in the pinned comment below. But today, we are going to be working from dried. If you can find something that says it's for hot dry noodles like this one, or maybe dandan noodle, those would work great. But anything with a nice bite to it would also be quite tasty. So, just boil your noodles like how you'd always boil some noodles. Our 60 grams worth took 5 minutes to cook through. So then we'll just toss those onto a small plate, and then we can dress. So, 1 tablespoon of lard, another tablespoon of our lardy fish sauce mixture, then top with a bit of sliced scallion, together with another tablespoon's worth of our deep-fried garlic. And then, with that, our Hakka noodles are done. Just mix well and devour. But before we let you go, we wouldn't be doing our jobs right if we didn't also teach you that side soup. Now, globally speaking, in a lot of versions of Hakka noodles, that soup's kind of morphed into a bit of an afterthought, but in Meizhou, it's an integral part of the meal. What it is a base of pork bone stock, boiled together with lean pork, some organ, and some sort of healthy vegetable, all seasoned with a generous kick of white pepper. The two together are definitely more than the sum of their parts, so while Yanmian can also totally work as a lazy noodle on its own, I'd also recommend at least trying it with the soup at least someday. So then, to make it, we'll first whip up that white peppery pork bone stock. So, to 2 liters of cool water, first toss in 500 grams of pork bones and slowly bring that all up to a boil. As it's starting to simmer, skim off any excess gunk, and once everything's bubbling, swap the flame down to the lowest flame that your stove will go. Then toss in a 1-inch knob of ginger, together with a teaspoon of cracked white pepper. Cover, and let that cook for at least 5 hours. Then, 5 hours later, you should be looking at a nice, clear, peppery stock. So we'll be taking out 1 portion's worth today, which is about 300 ml, and of course, reserving the remainder for another day. Then we'll sort our other components for the soup. This was 50 grams of lean pork, sliced, marinated with an 1/8 teaspoon each salt, sugar, white pepper, tablespoon of cornstarch, 3 tablespoons water, all mixed super well, then coated with a teaspoon of oil. 50 grams of pork liver, also sliced, also marinated with an 1/8 teaspoon each salt, sugar, white pepper, but a 1/2 teaspoon cornstarch, 1 tablespoon water, still mixed super well and coated with a teaspoon of oil. And finally, another 50 grams of pork meatball, though intestine would also be quite classic. And for vegetable, today we decided to work with 30 grams of spinach, though in Meizhou a lot more classic would be goji leaves. Unfortunately, that vegetable is a tough source for us here in Bangkok, and the essence here is really any tender vegetable that's ostensibly healthy, so spinach it is. Now, we should say that we were a little on the generous side with our meat quantity here, benefit of home cooking, so the look of the final soup will be slightly different from the street. Either way, once it's up to a boil, season with a 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1/8 teaspoon MSG and white pepper, and go in with the meatballs and the lean. Once the lean's changed color, toss in the liver, give it a quick 20 seconds, then the greens, and after a quick mix, shut off the heat. Pour it into a bowl, and then that soup is also done.
So we got some garlic oil after frying the garlic, but we didn't use it in this specific recipe. However, they are very tasty and you can use it in many dishes. Like you can just blend some vegetable and just drizzle in some garlic oil plus some soy sauce and sugar and salt, and it will be a very good dish. Or if you want to make a fancier version, you can check out our century egg video here for 上汤娃娃菜. So right, check out the recipe in the description box. A big thank you for everyone that's supporting us on Patreon. And of course, subscribe for more Chinese cooking videos. Dog food.